In this video, we're going to walk you through everything you need to know to repurpose your podcast content coming up. What's going on, everybody? This is Kareem Mustafa from Tribe Tactics. I'm one of the co-founders at Tribe Tactics and also the author of the book Original Series. And in this series of videos, we basically want to give you everything you need to know to plan and grow your very own original series. And today we're going to be talking about repurposing your podcast content. So here's the thing, podcast episodes are already rich with content. Usually when the episode's anywhere from, 15, 20, 30 minutes long, or even longer, there's so much content that's hidden, especially in between, that, people may not necessarily come across unless you take the decision to actually repurpose that for a marketing use case or a sales use case. So the fact that you're already starting with podcast episodes makes it a lot easier to repurpose that content. The beauty of it as well is that the more assets we can actually create, the less we have to promote. And let me tell you what I mean by that. The more assets we can create, the more personal brands can actually participate in sharing that content onwards. And at the same time, there's less pressure on us to really focus all of our promotion efforts on just one big, hit or miss campaign. Rather, we have so many different content pieces that are out being promoted in the same time. The beauty of creating podcast content and repurposing it as well is that you get people to start expecting that sort of cadence and rhythm from you in a good way, because now they are actually used to seeing all the different clips that will come out of the podcast content. So the more you're actually sharing, the more you're building that habit with them to tune in to your content and to really build up that following for you. There is an art and science to repurposing content. You need to make sure that you're familiar with the different channels, formats, and even use cases that you are considering before actually jumping in and repurposing the content. This makes sure that anything you repurpose isn't just an arts and crafts exercise, but rather something that will really benefit the bottom line and the specific goals of your campaign. For example, if you're repurposing content for LinkedIn, you may consider some of the best practices around video, image, written, and even audio content. So when it comes right down to it, you want to make sure that you're keeping three things in mind when you're repurposing the content. You want to keep in mind channels, formats, and use cases. When it comes to channels, you want to, of course, repurpose with those channels in mind. Make sure that you understand the culture behind a LinkedIn or a Twitter or an Instagram. Make sure you understand what are the best formats that would work well with them. And even though broadly speaking, video and let's say image are things that are across the board for many of these platforms, you really have to pay attention to the content that's already generating results or is already maybe catching your eye when you're on the platform yourself. Because what that means is that when you go back in and create that content, you'll actually have these best practices in mind to make sure that you're creating something that would likely resonate with the audience and resonate with the channel. And now the final thing that you need to think of as well are the use cases. So make sure that you keep in mind whether you're repurposing that content for a marketing use case, i.e. brand awareness, or just getting more traffic back to your website, or whether it's going to be for a sales purpose, for example, business development, really building up relationships and warming them up, especially if you haven't met them before. Based on that, that could really guide whether you decide, let's say for a marketing use case, to repurpose content that is designed to start a lot of discussions, or maybe for a business development use case, something that's designed to involve some of those prospects or to act as a social selling content piece that you can actually use to start conversations with people. Also, it could get a bit challenging when you're looking at the full episode to find the parts that you wish to prioritize to repurpose your content. Keep a lookout for parts that are especially entertaining or humorous. Maybe look for parts where a specific statistic was mentioned. Maybe look at parts that were specifically practical in their nature, something that people can follow from a practical advice standpoint. Look for all these nuggets of wisdom or just nuggets of entertainment that stand out to you on their own. Probably this is a telltale sign that they will actually stand out on their own as a content piece as well. Hope you enjoyed this video. If it's your first time, consider subscribing and we'll see you on the next video.